Bowls, bowls, bowls. I can't believe that the college football season is over. The regular season, championship weekend, it's over. It's all over. Done. Now we move on to the playoffs. Well, before the playoffs, we move on to the bowls. And there's a lot of them. And from what I heard, they actually had to create an extra bowl because more teams qualified to be in a bowl this year than anticipated. I think it was, hold on, the bowl that was created was the Frisco Football Classic. There's already a bowl called the Frisco Bowl, but they had to create another bowl, and they said they wanted it to be a good bowl experience, so they collaborated, I guess it was with Frisco, and created another bowl called the Frisco Football Classic. North Texas against Miami of Ohio. So, yeah, I've never heard of that before, but that's what happened this year. I think it was just one. It might have been a couple, but I do know they had to create at least one extra bowl because more teams qualified than they. Stupid phone trying to remind me to update my my stuff on there, which I will, but not right now. All right, so final playoff rankings first. Let's do that first, okay? Of course, number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Georgia. And number 4, Cincinnati. So the playoffs will be number 1, Alabama versus number 4, Cincinnati. And number 2, Michigan versus number 3, Georgia. All right, so beyond that, 5, Notre Dame. I don't agree with that. Do not agree with that. I think Baylor should have been ahead of Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame just one loss, and it was to Cincinnati, but they played a soft schedule. They don't play in a conference. They didn't win a conference championship. I would have put in Baylor ahead of Notre Dame. Okay, so that's the first issue. All right, number 6, Baylor. 7, Ohio State. Hey, at least they have Baylor above Ohio State. I agree with that. 8, Ole Miss. 9 is where Oklahoma State fell to. And rounding out the top 10, Utah. Well-deserved top 10 ranking for the Utes. Number 11, Michigan State. Number 12. Wait, I might be looking at the wrong rankings, guys. I am. I was looking at the AP poll. Redo. Top 4 the same. 5, Notre Dame. 6, Ohio State. So Ohio State is actually above Baylor. So I take that back. They did the wrong thing and put Ohio State above Baylor. I don't agree with that. Number 7, Baylor. 8, Ole Miss. 9 is where Oklahoma State fell to, and number 10, Michigan State. So Utah did not finish in the top 10. That was the AP poll I was looking at. Number 11 is Utah. Number 12, Pitt. And number 13, BYU. And I was hearing it from BYU fans because had the 12 team expanded, if you use the AP poll rankings, they would have made the expanded playoffs. But with the playoff rankings, they would have not made it. So, yeah, I heard a lot of backlash from the BYU fans. Number 14, that's where Oregon fell to. 15, Iowa. How did Iowa only fall 2 spots? I mean, they got shellacked by Michigan. They got throttled by Michigan. Only fell 2 spots. Number 16, Oklahoma. 17, Wake Forest. 18, NC State. 19, Clemson. So Clemson did finish the season in the top 20. And then, of course, number 20, Houston. They actually rose 1 spot? What? They lost to Cincinnati in the AAC Championship, and they rose 1 spot. Whatever. 21, Arkansas. 22, Kentucky. 23, Louisiana. And I've been telling y'all that they're a top 25 team. 24, San Diego State. They fell 5 spots. And 25 stayed the same, Texas A&M. Real quick, before I go any further, my sponsor, TriStateWoodsketch.com, they're actually doing a little mini promotion for the next 24 hours, basically. And what he wants to do is, all you have to do is go over to his website, TriStateWoodsketch.com. Well, his actual email address is TriStateWoodsketch@gmail.com. All you have to do, seriously, all you have to do, email him a picture, tell him what size the wood, what shape, all that stuff. And all you have to do is pay for the shipping. So he's running this promotion till tomorrow, and the first 50 people that contact him, you will get a free Tri-State wood sketch with whatever photo you choose. It can be a family pic, which would be a great Christmas gift, a couple's pic, or, pic of your favorite team's logo, whatever. First 50 people that contact him, all you'll have to pay for is shipping, and he'll cover the rest. So I think the offer expires 6 o'clock tomorrow, so get on that. That's a great Christmas present. Especially, those people you have no idea what to buy for? There you go. And y'all don't forget to hit the like button. It helps hit the YouTube algorithm, gets this thing suggested more, gets more fans in here, more trash talk, more, whatever. Whatever y'all want to talk about. All right, so now on to the bowls. Well, I've already talked about the playoffs. The Cotton Bowl is going to be number 1 Alabama against number 4 Cincinnati. I hope that's a good game. I really do. But you never know. Cincinnati can lay a stinker. Alabama looks like a juggernaut all of a sudden ever since they whooped Georgia. That came out of nowhere. I mean, seriously, who really expected that? I knew there was some people that were predicting the upset over Georgia, but who really thought Alabama was going to beat the brakes off of Georgia? Nobody thought that. So it was just, that game was weird to watch. Alabama looked like a completely different team than what we've been watching the entire season. They lost to A&M. They struggled against Arkansas, LSU, Florida, Tennessee. I mean, they struggled with pretty much everybody on their schedule except for the Mississippi schools. They pretty much blew them out. And then Georgia, complete opposite. Dominated everybody, and then all of a sudden they get to the SEC championship game, and they look like a scrub team. So, yeah, not trying to throw the word conspiracy out there, but I'm telling you, it looked fishy. It did. But the Orange Bowl, the other playoff game, number 2 Michigan against number 3 Georgia. I think that's going to be the game that steals the show. I think those are 2 evenly matched teams, and Georgia looked vulnerable against Alabama. But, maybe it was a facade, and then Georgia's going to run rampant through the playoffs. I think that's possible as well. So there's your playoffs. The Cotton Bowl, number 1 Alabama against number 4 Cincinnati, and then the Orange Bowl, number 2 Michigan against number 3 Georgia. All right, let's look at some of these other bowl matchups. And there's a lot of them. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 24. Holy crap. It's like 48 bowls. 50 bowls if you count the playoffs. Crazy. All right, let's start at the bottom real quick. The Bahamas Bowl, the classic, the one that we've waited all year for, the Bahamas Bowl. Middle Tennessee against Toledo. Middle Tennessee 6-6, Toledo 7-5. Does anybody care about that? Raise your hand. No? All right, let's move on. Boca Raton Bowl. This could actually be a good bowl, guys. Western Kentucky, who won Conference USA, is going to take on Appalachian State, who finished second in the Sun Belt. I think that's going to be a really good game. If I'm going to pick a winner, I'm going to go with the hot hand. I'm going to go Western Kentucky. I know Appalachian State was looking good throughout the year, but they finished on a sour note, lost to Louisiana, so I'm going to take the Hilltoppers. New Mexico Bowl, UTEP against Fresno State. Could be a good game, but I'm thinking Fresno State is head and shoulders a better team. So I would take the Bulldogs in that bowl game. Then we have the Independence Bowl. I don't know. UAB against number 13 BYU. I mean, UAB's look decent at times, but they look like a really good team. I think this is one of those bowls that could get out of hand. I think BYU could beat UAB by 3 or 4 scores, but it depends on if BYU wants to be there or not. So as far as the matchup goes, definitely picking BYU. It just depends on their mentality. UAB is a good team. If you play your B game, C game, UAB can make you pay for that. So it'll all be about the mentality of BYU on that one. After that, the Lending Tree Bowl. Yes, Eastern Michigan against Liberty. Both of those teams 7-5. I'll take Liberty. Eastern Michigan had a year, but Liberty, I think, overall has more talent. So I would take the Flames in that matchup. The LA Bowl, Utah State against Oregon State. You know, Utah State upset San Diego State in the Mountain West, so they are Mountain West champs. I mean, they obliterated them. And Oregon State's having a decent season. Pretty much came out of nowhere. They extended their head coach Jonathan Smith. He could be building something up there in Corvallis. If you go by what we saw in the Mountain West Championship, I would take Utah State. But I think Oregon State is going to be happy to be there. They're going to play their A game. That's going to be a good game. I might actually take Oregon State in that game. Smart Money says Utah State, but Gut says Oregon State for me. New Orleans Bowl. I like this matchup, guys. I really like this matchup. Number 23, Louisiana against Marshall. Louisiana won the Sun Belt, beat Appalachian State in the championship game, 12-1. Their only loss was to Texas at the beginning of the season. After that, they won 12 straight games. And they're taking on a Marshall team who's 7-5. Letdown year. Marshall was one game away from Conference USA championship game. They don't let that record fool you. Marshall has talent over there. Marshall, they could give Louisiana a good game, but I can't pick against the Raging Cajuns in this matchup, so I would go with Louisiana on that one. The Myrtle Beach Bowl, Old Dominion against Tulsa, 2 6-6 teams, group of 5 teams. That's a coin flip. Have no idea who would win that game. Let's see, next. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Kent State against Wyoming. You know, I've gotten used to Boise State being in that Potato Bowl pretty much every stinking year. Not this year. This year we have Kent State, who's 7-6, against Wyoming, who's 6-6. I don't know. I guess Gut would say Kent State. I know they finished the season on a letdown when they lost to Northern Illinois. But the Golden Flashes, they're a decent team. So I think I would take Kent State over Wyoming. Let's see, on to the Frisco Bowl. UTSA 12-1 against number 24 San Diego State, who's 11-2. That could be a very interesting matchup. UTSA was trying to go undefeated, and I believe they lost their last regular season game before winning their conference championship. And then, of course, San Diego State got blown out by Utah State. That's a tough one. I think that's very evenly matched. I don't know. Maybe I might go with Roadrunners on that one. UTSA. San Diego State might be coming into this bowl kind of dragging their tails a little bit. So, yeah, I might take UTSA on that one. Next bowl, the Armed Forces Bowl. Missouri against Army. Missouri 6-6, Army 8-3. I was actually hoping that West Virginia would get matched up against Missouri. I think that would have been a good matchup for West Virginia, and we would have gotten some revenge for that 2019 beatdown that we took in Missouri. That was I still remember that game. That game got out of hand fast. We got blown out in that game. But as is, it's Missouri and Army. I'll still take Missouri. Army doesn't have much offense at all. They have a great defense, but they don't have enough offense for me to be comfortable picking them over an SEC team. And then there's the made-up bowl, the Frisco Football Classic. This one was made out of thin air because there was more bowl-eligible teams than actual bowls. And that's North Texas against Miami of Ohio. Both 6-6, both mediocre. But I think I would take North Texas because, if I'm not mistaken, North Texas, that was the team that upset UTSA in the last game of the regular season. So, just on a whim, I would take North Texas in that matchup. After that, the Gasparilla Bowl. The Battle of Florida. Here we go, guys. This is it right here. UCF. 8-4, decent team, decent season, and they're taking on the Florida Gators. 6-6. So who was it that said that Florida was going to take a major step back this year? I had them finishing 4th in the SEC, and they actually finished lower than that. Who tried to warn everybody that Florida was going to take a massive step backwards, and Kentucky was going to finish 2nd in the SEC this year? Remember? Yep, it was me. That one, and it wasn't even that difficult to predict. Now, I didn't see them going 6-6. I mean, they had an even worse season than what I thought they would. But terrible season for Florida. And I think they're going to finish the season with the losing record. I think the Knights get it done. I think the Knights want to be there more. I think Florida, they're depressed. They're dragging their feet. No energy. Just went through a coaching change. And I don't trust the Gators right now. So I would take UCF in this matchup. And Florida finishes the season 6-7. 6-7. Yes, that's another. That's a good point. UCF is fully healthy now, so I'll take a healthy Knights team over a very mediocre Florida team. Okay, I'm excited about that bowl though. I have to add that I am excited. I will be watching that bowl. Next up, the Hawaii Bowl, and of course, Hawaii is going to be in it. Memphis and Hawaii. Memphis 6-6, Hawaii 6-7. I don't know. Maybe Memphis. I think they're a more consistent team than Hawaii, but it is in Hawaii. The travel, a lot of distractions. I don't know. Maybe the home team. Maybe I should take Hawaii. I don't know. We'll see about that. Probably not going to watch it, though. After that, the Camellia Bowl. Georgia State against Ball State. 7-5 Georgia State, 6-6 Ball State. Ball State took a much bigger step backwards than I thought they would. But I think I would stick with Ball State. I think they're the better team here. After that, the Quick Lane Bowl. Western Michigan against Nevada. I'll take Nevada. Nevada's a very underrated Mountain West team. They actually underachieved just a little bit, 8-4. I had Nevada at 10 wins this year, competing for the Mountain West Championship. I'm definitely going to take them in this matchup. I do think they're the better team. But let's not forget, Western Michigan beat Pitt, so they did beat a Power 5 team. And they have that under their belt. The Military Bowl, Boston College against East Carolina. Boston College 6-6, East Carolina 7-5. I think East Carolina is a better team than people realize. Boston College, not very good on the offensive side of the ball. They rely heavily on defense. I think in a low-scoring game, I'm still going to take Boston College. They had a few really good games, and they had a few letdown games. I'm going to say this game falls under a good game for Boston College. So I'll take Boston College in that matchup. Then we have the Birmingham Bowl. Number 20 Houston finished the season 11-2, AAC runner-up, and they're taking on the Auburn Tigers, who finished the season 6-6. But Auburn did scare Alabama. They lost to South Carolina the week before on the road, and then they come back home and scare Alabama. I don't care. I'm taking Houston. I think Houston gets the job done. I think Auburn. I don't even know if Auburn's going to be interested in being there. I don't know. 6-6. That's a terrible season for Auburn. Barely limping into a bowl. I'm going to take Houston to finish the season 12-2. 12-2. That's a good season. And that's coming from a West Virginia fan. Dana Holgorsen, the head coach of Houston, who I don't like at all. He trash-talked West Virginia on the way out to Houston, and I'm still picking Houston. So that's how bad I think Auburn is. First Responders Bowl, Air Force against Louisville. Air Force actually had a decent season, 9-3. Louisville 6-6. I'm just going to take the better team, Air Force. I think they're the better team. Finished the season with 10 wins. That's a good year. That's a good year for Air Force, and they could compete for the Mountain West Championship next year. Seriously, good team. The Liberty Bowl. This is one of the bowls where I thought West Virginia could have landed. But instead, Texas Tech gets that bowl bid. And I'm actually glad. I'm actually glad because they get matched up against Mississippi State. That would have been a bad matchup for West Virginia. I'm very glad that we did not go to the Liberty Bowl and that we did not get matched up against Mississippi State. Mississippi State has one of the best offenses in the nation. Even though they're only 7-5, they don't have a good defense. I just don't see West Virginia scoring enough points to keep up with Mississippi State. And I think Mississippi State is going to do to Texas Tech what they would have done to West Virginia had West Virginia gone to the Liberty Bowl. I'm taking Mississippi State, and I think that's one of those bowls that can get out of control real fast. Real fast. I would take Mississippi State by 20 points easy. They're going to score a ton of points in that game. And Texas Tech will have no answer. So, better you than us, Texas Tech. That's all I got to say. The next bowl, the Holiday Bowl. This could be a good one. UCLA, kind of under the radar, 8-4. They got off to a good start, and then they kind of just fizzled away. People forgot about them. 8-4. That's a decent season for UCLA. Chip Kelly has that program going in the right direction. They're going to take on number 18 NC State, the runner-up of the ACC Atlantic. NC State finished 9-3. They were a Wake Forest loss away from going to the ACC Championship and playing Pitt. As is, they're going to the Holiday Bowl and taking on UCLA. I'm going to take the Wolfpack. I think NC State finished strong, and I think they end up with a 10-win season. And that's a program that's headed in the right direction. I like how NC State looks. I like the direction they're going in, and I think they get the job done. And that's no disrespect on UCLA. I think they're a great team. I just think NC State's a little bit better. Then our bowl, West Virginia, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. We got matched up with Minnesota. West Virginia, of course, finished 6-6. Minnesota 8-4. But the matchup is this is not a bad matchup for West Virginia. I looked at Minnesota. They're not very good on offense, like at all. They're like 84th, something like that. They're really good on defense. And even quarterback comparison, Jarrett Deggy, West Virginia's quarterback, actually had a better season, better stats, better performances than Tanner Morgan. Tanner Morgan did not have a good season at all. This is a good matchup for West Virginia. I like West Virginia's chances. The question is scoring points. Can our offense put it together? Can we run the ball effectively against Minnesota? Minnesota has a decent rushing defense. If we cannot put 100 yards in rushing in the stat sheet for this bowl, this could be a long game for West Virginia. So it all hinges on, can West Virginia run the ball on Minnesota? If we can run the ball, we'll win the game. And if we can't, we'll lose the game. It's as simple as that. I could, come up with these crazy, equations. Well, if West Virginia commits 2 or more turnovers, then we're, stuff like, no, it's as simple as that. If we rush the ball good, well, we're going to win the game. If we don't, we're not. That's how this matchup is going to unfold. Minnesota doesn't have a good offense, so they're not going to score a ton of points. It's, can we move the ball? Can we run some clock, run the ball when we need to, and shorten the game? If we can do that, we'll win the game. So I'll take West Virginia in a close one because I have faith that Tony Mathis, who had a monster game against Kansas, and Letty Brown. I think Letty Brown gets it going. So I'm going to take West Virginia by a field goal, maybe 4 points, something like that. Next up, the Fenway Bowl. SMU against Virginia. The coach for Virginia, Bronco Mendenhall, he's retiring. Taking a step back, I think, is the way he's phrasing it. He said that he's not, done with football, like altogether. He's just taking a step back and kind of recharging the batteries. But this is the last game as the Virginia head coach. They're going to be taking on SMU. I'm going to take the Mustangs in this. SMU is an underrated team, and I think SMU gets the job done here. And, I'm pulling for Virginia in this one because this would be a good send-off for Bronco Mendenhall as he goes and recharges the battery. I do think he'll be back. I think he's one of those coaches where he can't stay away. So I do think he'll be back. But in this particular matchup, I'm going to take SMU in a good game. I think it's a really good game. Would it surprise me if Virginia won? Of course not. They have a quality football team. I just think SMU's a little bit better. The Pinstripe Bowl, I like this matchup. Maryland against Virginia Tech. West Virginia played both of these teams. Maryland 6-6, Virginia Tech 6-6. This is a coin toss. I don't know. I think Maryland has a little bit more talent, but they've played down to opponents at times. So I'll give the edge to Maryland, but it wouldn't surprise me if Virginia Tech won that game. But I'm going to take Maryland, and I'll say by a touchdown. All right, now we're getting into the bigger bowls. The Cheez-It Bowl, number 19 Clemson finished the season on a high note, 9-3, against Iowa State, who had a letdown year. They finished 7-5. I'm taking Clemson in this one, and I'm taking Clemson big. I think Clemson will win by at least a couple of touchdowns. Clemson really started to get it going by the end of the season, and Iowa State just started falling apart. So kind of two teams headed in different directions. Clemson up, Iowa State down. So I'm taking the team that's headed in the upward direction. And Clemson quietly finishing the season with 10 wins. Rough start for Clemson, but I think they finished strong, and they finished the season 10-3. So I'll take Clemson in that matchup. The Alamo Bowl, number 14 Oregon against number 16 Oklahoma. Oregon 10-3, Oklahoma 10-2. Two overrated teams. Two teams that were expected to possibly compete for playoff spots. I didn't fall for the Oregon hype, but I did fall for the Oklahoma hype. I had Oklahoma in my playoff picks at the beginning of the season. Big letdown year, of course. Lincoln Riley off to USC, but Oklahoma is right now working on a contract for Brent Venables, so that's a good pickup for Oklahoma. In this matchup, man, I don't know. I do not know. Since Bob Stoops is filling in, I'm going to take coaching, and I think Bob Stoops is the better coach. I know he hasn't coached in a while, but I trust that name more than Mario Cristobal. And again, Mario Cristobal is possibly headed towards Miami. That'd be I guess a decent pickup for the Hurricanes. Although I'm not impressed with him. I think he's underachieved at Oregon, but for Miami, I do think that's a step up for Manny Diaz. But in the Alamo Bowl, I'm going to take Oklahoma. Just because of Bob Stoops. Interesting matchup for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. North Carolina against South Carolina. Both of these teams finished 6-6. North Carolina underachieved, and South Carolina overachieved a little bit. I think North Carolina has more talent, but South Carolina has more... I don't know, that it factor. It seems like that South Carolina's headed in the right direction under Shane Beamer. So I don't know what the line is on this game, but if South Carolina's the underdog, I'm going to take the upset. If they're the favorite, then I'm rolling with the favorite. Either way, I'm taking the Gamecocks. I think South Carolina beats North Carolina, and they finish the season 7-6. And North Carolina with just one of the biggest letdown seasons they could have thought of. Finish the season under 500. So, yeah, I'll take South Carolina in that matchup. Then we have the Music City Bowl. Tennessee against Purdue. Oh, man. Purdue, a quiet 8-4. I didn't know that they had that good of a record. I was thinking like 6-6. We saw them. They hammered Michigan State. They've had good games, but Tennessee... they have a really good offense. Josh Heupel, I think, is the right hire for Tennessee. I think that was a good hire for Tennessee. That could be a good game, guys. That could be a good game. I would take Tennessee because it's closer, maybe a little bit more of a home field advantage for Tennessee. So maybe just in terms of, a little bit more of a home field advantage, I'll take Tennessee on that. But it wouldn't surprise me if Purdue won that game. Purdue, quality team, beat some good teams in the regular season. That could go either way. But officially, I'll take Tennessee in that one. The Peach Bowl, number 12 Pitt against number 10 Michigan State. Pitt finished the season 11-2 ACC champs, and Michigan State finished kind of disappointing. They were in the playoff hunt there for a while, but they did finish 10-2. This one might be a boring game. I mean, a lot of defense and not much offense. I think Pitt does have a little bit better of an offense than Michigan State. So begrudgingly, I'll pick Pitt in this game. But this is going to be a defensive battle. Final scores could be like 21-17, something like that. So I'll take Pitt. I think Pitt can score more points. I mean, they outscored Wake Forest, and Wake Forest scores a lot of points. So, maybe we do see some offense. Maybe Pitt actually puts up some points. So I'm going to take Pitt. I don't know what the line on that is either. If they're the underdog, then I'll take the upset. I'm going with the Panthers. I think they can win by, I'll say, a touchdown, maybe 10 points, something like that. Let's see, what do we have after that? The Las Vegas Bowl, Wisconsin against Arizona State. Both of these teams finished 8-4. Who knows? Wisconsin, they finished the season, well, besides the Minnesota game, they finished the season strong and had a shot to win the Big Ten West, but then they go on the road and lose to their rival Minnesota convincingly. Arizona State, flashes of brilliance, and then complete and utter failure at some points of the season. I don't know. Gut is saying Arizona State. I think the venue favors Arizona State, where it's being played. Slight home field advantage maybe, less traveling. So based on that, I think I'll have to take, I'll take Arizona State in the Las Vegas Bowl. But that's a toss-up, guys. It really is. All right, after that, we have the Gator Bowl. Number 17, Wake Forest against number 25, Texas A&M. Wake Forest 10-3. Texas A&M 8-4. I think this is a really good matchup. I think it actually favors Wake Forest. I really do. I definitely think they have the better offense. Texas A&M probably has the better defense, and I know the Aggies, they're in the SEC. They beat Alabama, but they also underachieved. I'm going to take Wake Forest in this matchup, and if their offense really because if you watch the entire season for Wake Forest, that game against Pitt, that wasn't characteristic of Wake Forest. I think they get it. I think they get the offense going again, and they score a ton of points. So I'm going to take Wake Forest in the shootout. I mean, we could be looking at a 42-35, 42-31, something like that. But yes, I will definitely take Wake Forest in that matchup. Then we have the I'm just going to call it the Sun Bowl. I'm not adding all that Tony the Tiger crap. The Sun Bowl. Washington State against the Hurricanes. Both of those teams 7-5. I don't know, guys. I have no idea. Miami definitely underachieved, and I think Washington State overachieved a little bit. So I guess I'll go with the team that overachieved. I'll go Washington State. Just because it wouldn't surprise me for Miami to pull out another flop. So I'll take the Cougars in that matchup. And the more I think about it, the more confident I am in that pick. Yeah, I'm taking Washington State. All right, let's move on to the Arizona Bowl. Central Michigan against Boise State. Central Michigan 8-4, Boise State 7-5. I'm taking the Broncos. They underachieved, yes, but they also beat some really good teams. Ask BYU. Boise State they're capable of having great games. And I just don't think Central Michigan is good enough to compete with Boise State. I'll take Boise State, and I think it could get lopsided. 20-point win, something like that. I guess we'll see. After that, we have the Outback Bowl. Penn State against number 21 Arkansas. Penn State 7-5, Arkansas 8-4. Y'all know how I feel about the SEC, but I have to take the SEC in this one. I think Arkansas better than that 8-4 record. Here's why. Arkansas had the number 1 toughest schedule in the nation. And they still finished 8-4, and they still finished with that number 21 ranking. That is really good, guys. You don't even realize. With the schedule that they had, Arkansas finishing 8-4 is a minor miracle. That's a good football team. I'm taking Arkansas. I think they could win by 10 points, maybe 2 touchdowns, and Penn State finishes a letdown season. I still have faith in James Franklin as a head coach. I think he's a good coach. I think Penn State will have a much better year next year, but the Outback Bowl will be Arkansas, and it could be lopsided. Arkansas is a good football team. All right, next we have the Citrus Bowl. Number 15 Iowa taking on number 22 Kentucky. Iowa finished the season 10-3 and a thumping by Michigan. And Kentucky, where did they finish in the SEC East? Number 2. Who predicted that? Go to Blue Dude. Yep, that's right. Kentucky finished right where I thought they would finish. Second, right behind Georgia in the SEC East. They just had a lot of talent coming back this year. Iowa, I think I had them second in the West, so they finished about where I thought they would, maybe a little bit higher. I don't think Iowa has enough offense to beat Kentucky. Now, if they can make this game ugly enough, they can win it, but I think Kentucky they have a little bit more offense than Iowa. So, in a lower scoring, close game, I'm going to take Kentucky. Maybe a 24-20, 24-21 type of football game. It'll be a good one, but only if you like defense. If you like defense, then that's the game to watch. On to the, let's see, are we there yet? Hold on, 1, 2. Texas Bowl. LSU and Kansas State. Oof. I don't know, guys. I'll probably have to take Kansas State. I think they're a little bit better. Honestly, I thought Kansas State had a better record than 7-5. That's kind of surprising. LSU they upset Texas A&M to get bowl eligible, so they did get bowl eligible, but I don't trust LSU, and I think Kansas State just a little bit better of a football team. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if this game went either way. But officially, I'll take Kansas State in that one. For the second year in a row in the Cure Bowl, Coastal Carolina is in the Cure Bowl. But this year, they're taking on Northern Illinois. And, of course, Northern Illinois won the MAC. And they finished the season 9-4. Coastal Carolina 10-2. I think Northern Illinois pulls off the upset here, the shocker here. Coastal Carolina, a little bit of a letdown year. I think that trend continues into bowl season. I think Northern Illinois is a better football team than people realize. I picked them to beat, Kent State in the MAC, and most people were taking Kent State. I really had no doubts. Northern Illinois, much better football team than Kent State. Even though, and I realized that Kent State beat them in the regular season, Northern Illinois got better. So I think Northern Illinois, the Huskies, pulls off the upset. Just like, remember last year I said Coastal Carolina was going to pull the upset on, no, it was the other way around. I said Liberty was going to pull the upset on Coastal Carolina. I think for the second year in a row, Coastal Carolina gets upset in the Cure Bowl. And this year it's going to be Northern Illinois. And Coastal Carolina will not want to go to the Cure Bowl anymore. All right, now the other 4 New Year's Six Bowl, not counting the playoffs. We'll get to that here in just a second. First up, the Fiesta Bowl. Number 9, Oklahoma State, which, let me back up for a second. I forgot that the Peach Bowl was a New Year's Six Bowl, and I already made a prediction on that. So we already did one. Let's do the other 3. The Fiesta Bowl, number 9, Oklahoma State against number 5, Notre Dame. Oklahoma State 11-2, Notre Dame 11-1. No hesitation here. I think Notre Dame gets the job done. If you watch Notre Dame throughout the season, that team just kept getting better and better and better and better. The only issue is Brian Kelly's not going to be, the head coach for Notre Dame. I do think Freeman is a competent replacement. I think he gets the job done. I think Notre Dame has more talent. Oklahoma State does have the better defense, but Notre Dame has a really good defense as well. I just think this is a bad matchup for Oklahoma State. I really do. I think the Irish get it done. They beat Oklahoma State, and I'm going to say by 2 touchdowns. I like this matchup for Notre Dame. They have the better offense for sure, no question about it. But the defense matchup, which is how Oklahoma State wins football games, Notre Dame doesn't have a bad defense. It's not quite as good as Oklahoma State, but it's comparable. So with Notre Dame having the better offense and a comparable defense, I'm going to take Notre Dame in this matchup right here. Next up, the Rose Bowl. Number 11, Utah against number 6, Ohio State. Utah finished 10-3, Ohio State 10-2. Now, no disrespect to Utah. You guys are a great team. You beat Oregon twice, and I know Oregon beat Ohio State. And Ohio State finished the season on a very sour note against Michigan. And I think they come into this game really, really angry. I'm going to take Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes definitely have the better offense, for sure. Utah has the better defense, but we saw Ohio State's defense get better throughout the season, except for that Michigan game. For whatever reason, that they just had no answers. They had a bad game, but I think they bounced back, and I think Ohio State gets the Rose Bowl win against Utah. That's going to be a good game, though. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't even think Ohio State wins by double digits. I think Utah keeps it close. So I'm going to take Ohio State in a very competitive, close football game. Maybe 35-31, 35-30, something like that. I have a little bit more faith in Ohio State. If you take off the Michigan loss, before they lost to Michigan, I mean, you're not even thinking about it. We were actually all hoping for an Ohio State-Georgia matchup. Ohio State's the only team that could, give Georgia a scare. Like, we were even thinking that more than Alabama. One game changed all that, except for me. I put that game against Michigan to the side, and remember what I was thinking before that game. They had a bad game against Michigan, but Ohio State is still an elite team. And I think they get the job done against Utah. After that, the Sugar Bowl. This is going to be a good one, guys. Number 7, Baylor against number 8, Ole Miss. Baylor, of course, Big 12 champs, 11-2. Ole Miss, 10-2. Really good team. Man, that's a tough one to pick. It really is. I could go either way. Ole Miss has a really good offense. Their defense did get better. But if you look at Baylor against Oklahoma State, even though they didn't score in the second half, Baylor's defense looked extremely good against Oklahoma State. So the fact that they got it done against Oklahoma State, and I picked Baylor in that game, I think they get it done again, guys. I do. I think Baylor beats Ole Miss. I think Baylor has some trick plays. We're used to seeing Lane Kiffin pulling out trick plays. I think Baylor will have some trick plays for Ole Miss as well. We saw that in the Big 12 championship game. They pulled out a few trick plays. So that's going to be an entertaining game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both of those two teams, great offenses, but I think Baylor has the better defense. I think that's what wins this ball game for Baylor. I think they get one more stop than what Ole Miss gets. And that's why I'm going to take Baylor. But it's going to be a high-scoring game. So maybe like a, 48-45 type of game, something like that. It's going to be a shootout. Then finally, the playoffs, real quick. The Cotton Bowl, number 1, Alabama against number 4, Cincinnati. Heart says Cincinnati, gut says Alabama. So I'm going to pick Alabama and hope I'm wrong. How about that? That's going to be my pick. I'm picking Alabama and hoping that I'm wrong. I mean, if you look at the Alabama team in the regular season, I would actually pick Cincinnati. But then you go back to the SEC Championship, and they dominated Georgia. So that makes you pick Alabama. So I'm sticking with that. I'm going to pick Alabama and hope that I'm wrong on that one. And then, of course, in the Orange Bowl, number 2 Michigan against number 3 Georgia. You're not going to like this, Michigan fans. You're not going to like this. I think what we saw in the SEC Championship game was borderline laughable. Something was not right about that. Georgia goes throughout the entire season, dominates everybody, and then all of a sudden they look like a bad team against Alabama. I don't buy it, guys. I don't buy it. Well, Georgia, they played in the SEC East week, not a very tough schedule. Well, they had common opponents with Alabama. Okay, Arkansas. Alabama survived Arkansas 42-35. Georgia blew out Arkansas 37-0. Alabama barely survived Florida by 2 points. Georgia beat Florida 34-7. Tennessee, the final score for Alabama was 52-24, but going into the fourth quarter, it was a one-score game. With Georgia, Tennessee really didn't have a chance. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And then, of course, Auburn. Alabama survived Auburn. Auburn was actually dominating that game against Alabama until Alabama scored that touchdown near the end of the game, sent it to overtime, and outlasted Auburn. For Georgia, they ran Auburn off the field, and that was on the road for Georgia as well. So I go by the bigger sample size. Not the SEC Championship game, that's a very small sample. If you look at the regular season, that is a bigger sample size. So I'm not buying that Georgia is the team that we saw in the SEC Championship game. I think Georgia is the team that we saw in the regular season. And that's why I'm taking Georgia over Michigan by at least 2 touchdowns. Maybe 3. That one could get out of hand. Seriously. I'm going to take Georgia 35. I want to say 35-21, 35-24, something like that. And we'll probably end up with an Alabama-Georgia rematch. And we'll see the Georgia team, the real Georgia team, play Alabama in the national championship and probably wipe the floor with them. I just have this feeling that we're being messed with. That they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and the national championship is supposed to be this redemption story for Georgia, and they finally got the monkey off their back against big bad Alabama. I think it's just this storyline that's been set up, and I'm not buying it. I think Georgia is still the dominating team that we saw throughout the season, not the Georgia team that we saw in the SEC Championship. I cannot. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. How a team can struggle throughout the season, Alabama, and then all of a sudden a juggernaut in the SEC Championship. Same with Georgia. Juggernaut regular season, all of a sudden they look like trash against Alabama. I'm sorry. I don't buy it, and I think this playoffs is going to be Georgia showing off. I don't think anybody has a chance against Georgia. The SEC Championship did not change my mind against Georgia. So I'm taking Georgia. Georgia beats Michigan, and Georgia beats whoever wins Alabama, Cincinnati. I hope it's Cincinnati, but I'm gonna pick Alabama. I'm hoping for a Georgia-Cincinnati national championship, but we'll see. I think the storyline that they want is Georgia-Bama redemption, getting the monkey off their back, and Georgia finally grabs the national championship. So, there you go, guys. Y'all let me know in the comments section after I upload this video what you agree with, what you don't agree with, where I got it right, where I got it wrong. Anyways, appreciate y'all stopping by. I just wanted to do an unscheduled, kind of off-the-cuff bowl show, because this is the culmination of the college football season. This is what everybody looks forward to. This is what it all builds to. Bowl season, the playoffs, all that stuff. So, yeah, I had to do a show. I had to do it. Anyways, more regular videos every day. Even when I had COVID, didn't take a day off, won't take a day off. So more of those coming tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Hey, college football, you never know. Even though the regular season is over, there's still plenty of stuff to talk about. Today, Mario Cristobal talking to the Hurricanes. I think he'll be their new head coach. And it hasn't even been discussed that they were going to get rid of Manny Diaz, but I think that's what happens. And then, of course, Brent Venables going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Brent Venables are literally in contract talks right now. So I expect that news to break this coming week. They just have to get all the contract negotiations and all that stuff down, and then they'll release the news. Yeah, I had COVID, and it sucked. The worst days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, up until Wednesday. I started feeling better Thursday morning, but I still kept the videos coming as well, because that's what I do, guys. And on some of the funny thing was, well, now it's funny. I can go back and laugh at it now. But on some of those videos, I'm telling you, a lot of editing, because it drains your energy. So I would do a couple sentences and then cut it and kind of just rest, and then come back, look at my notes, kind of keep it going from there. So I had to do a lot more writing for my shows whenever I had COVID, because I had to take so many breaks. I mean, it drains your energy. So I couldn't get an entire video done in one take. So I got as much as I could get done in one take my break, and then come back and finish it, and then just kind of edit it together. So I did pick West Virginia against Minnesota, and that wasn't a homer pick. That was a pick based on West Virginia actually has a quarterback that performed better. Tanner Morgan had an abysmal season for Minnesota, and the defenses are pretty close. I think West Virginia will be able to run the ball. That's the biggest. That's why I picked West Virginia. Now, if we can't run the ball, then Minnesota is going to win the football game. So all my eggs are in the basket of hoping that West Virginia can run the ball. If we can run the ball, and Tony Mathis and Letty Brown looked really good against a pretty good rushing defense for Kansas, I think they keep it going, and West Virginia gets the win against Minnesota. And that'll be 2 bowl wins in a row for Neil Brown. But if we can't run the ball, Minnesota will win the football game. So it kind of all hinges on West Virginia's running game. So we'll see what happens. Those are my predictions. I'm going to get off here, guys. I know I've rambled enough and took a lot of y'all's time. But hey, I appreciate y'all supporting the show and stopping by for the live show. I'll see you on the next live show Wednesday night. We're going back to normal schedule. So Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, live show. Be here, guys.